Hello and welcome back to Tetra Football, and today we're going to be ranking every Premier League club based on their transfer window so far. The first club is going to be Arsenal, and their transfer business so far includes Kai Havertz for 70 mil, Rice for 120 and Timber for 40, as well as Maitland-Niles leaving on a free and Pablo Mari for just 4 million and 900,000. So Arsenal, for me, I think the signings they've made are good. They're decent players. I think pretty much all of them overpriced. But losing Maitland-Niles, I think they could have got a fee for, and Pablo Mari maybe a little more for as well.
Personally, I think I'm going to have to put them in wake up because they've overspent for Rice and Havertz. I think Timber, fair transfer fee, but they've also let Maitland-Niles go for free, which is just unacceptable. So I'm going to have to say wake up and actually do a bit of proper business.
So Ryan's saying wake up. I'm assuming it's mostly based on the prices.
Definitely.
So far.
Because the players are class. But
I do think that's
prices.
harsh, but because the players are good, I'd probably say decent instead. Because the players are still good. They might have overpaid, but
I'll settle for decent.
They will benefit from those players. So I think decent's fair. Next up then, Aston Villa, and they've brought in Yuri Tielemans on a free. And Pau Torres, I don't think it's officially confirmed, but looking like a 40 million deal, that's guaranteed to happen. They also have lost Steer, who was just a backup goalie, I think like third choice maybe. And they lost Young on a free, which the experience losing that could impact them as well.
I think that's an amazing bit of transfer business because Tielemans, class player, previously was linked to Arsenal, didn't go there, and getting him for free. And Pau Torres strengthening their defence even more is amazing. And to be fair, Ashley Young, losing him because a bit of experience, but him and Steer, it's not too big of a loss. I think, amazing from Villa as usual.
Yeah, I think for me, they also go on amazing. It's just simple. Tielemans on a free. The other transfers as well. Pau Torres is brilliant. So yeah, simple, amazing tier there. Following that up then is going to be Bournemouth, and they've signed Traore, who've had on loan for 25 million, not too convinced on that. And Clive, who's had a bit of a flop of a career so far, for 11 mil. While on frees, they've lost Lerma, Samora, Stacey and Stanislas, while Vigna is also not rejoining them after his brilliant loan spell.
I am really not sure what's going on with Bournemouth. Sacking Gary O'Neill after keeping them up, basically. Bringing Traore in, yeah, it's all right, but 25 million, I feel that's overpaying. Kiver, 11 million, that's fair enough. But the plays they've let out, and seemingly for free, and I can't believe it. I'm going to have to go for Y. I just have to put them in Y for me.
Well, for me, I think when you look at the manager they brought in to replace O'Neill, I think it makes a lot of sense because O'Neill easily could have folded next season. But based on their transfer business, I'd probably go wake up. I think Lerma was an important player. Zamura had a lot of room for improvement, but was looking good as an attacking fullback. And Stanislas was a leader in the squad, as well as Vigna looking incredible for them. So for me, it goes to wake up because they haven't done a lot. And yeah, it's just a bit meh if you're a Bournemouth fan. So I'd go for wake up.
Yeah, just put them in wake up, but I just
Wake up.
don't understand it.
Very critical on their transfer business from Ryan. Following that up is Brentford, and they've signed Collins for 26 million. Shard, who's already on loan at the club, for 25 on a permanent. And Flecken, seemingly a backup keeper now, for 13 mil, as they don't look like they're going to sell Raya. Meanwhile, leaving, they lost experienced centre-back Janssen on a free. And Fosu and Godos also left on a free, who I don't think played at all last season.
I'm just saying out the bat, I think it's decent because Collins, great centre-back. Not quite a big fee, to be fair, surprising considering Wolves' quite large debt to the financial fair play. Obviously getting their player, signing him permanently on loan, and Flecken as a backup keeper is always good because you never know. During maybe the January window, if Raya keeps it up, he could get a massive move away.
Yeah, well, for me, I think, it's probably decent. I don't think it's on the same level as what Villa have done. I think Shard's actually been a little underrated at his time at Brentford. He hasn't impressed too much, but based on what he did at Freiburg as well, I do think there's a good player there. But I don't think it's any better than Arsenal's business, and it's not quite as good as Villa's, so I'd go for decent for Brentford. Following that up then is Brighton, and they have signed João Pedro 35 million, young goalkeeper Verbruggen for 20, Milner and Dahoud for 0, and because Brighton fans keep bringing it up whenever I talk to them, Adengra is returning to the club from loan as well. While so far the only player they have lost is McAllister, but it looks likely they'll lose others as well.
I mean, I think it's great business because they basically haven't spent anything due to the transfer fee of McAllister. I mean, Pedro, 35 million. Would I pay 35 million for João Pedro? No, but they get a class young keeper for 20 million. Great. Bit of experience to bring up these younger players in Milner. Dahoud, also not really experienced, but he's played at high level and still got enough talent where he can develop under Robert De Zerbi.
For me, Brighton, I think this goes in decent as well. It's just typical smart business you see from Brighton. And losing McAllister was big, and I don't think they've quite brought in a player as good as him to replace that role so far.
Yeah,
So for
I'd
me, it
say
goes decent, and Ryan agrees. Following that up then is Burnley, and in they brought in Bayer for just 15 mil, who was brilliant for them last season. O'Shea from West Brom, who I think is a decent defender, maybe not the top level. And they also brought in Vicar Raju, I think something like that, the Chilean goalkeeper from Leyton Orient last season from League One, and Obafemi for an undisclosed fee so far. And out, they've only lost Ashley Barnes on a free to Norwich.
I would say it's decent because whilst they've got in some players, I wouldn't rave about them. I think there's still quite a high chance that they're going to get relegated next season. I mean, losing Ashley Barnes, not a big deal because obviously his age, but does bring a bit of experience being in the Premier League before, so could be a bigger loss than we really expect. I'll probably say either wake up or decent.
For me, it's definitely not decent. It's not as good as the three clubs that are already in there. It would be disrespectful, I think, to Arsenal to Burnley's transfer business so far in the same tier. Bayer is a good signing, though, and O'Shea is decent squad depth for them, but they are going to need more to keep themselves up. So for me, it's got to be wake up so far. It's not why, because they are looking at doing business, but it's been a while since you've heard anything from Burnley, so for me, it goes wake up.
Yeah, just put them in wake up.
Alright, following that up then is going to be Chelsea, and so far they have brought in Nkunku for 60 mil, RB Leipzig's best player. They've also brought in Nicholas Jackson for 37 after only really having a good half season so far. And they've also brought in Malo Gusto, who even though like Nkunku was last season signing, he's finally joined the club for 25 million. While leaving the club, they got a great price for Havertz and Mount for 70 and 65 million. Kovacic left the City for 30 million. Koulibaly went for 23, Mendy for 18 million, Kante and Bakayoko left for free, and they also got 16 mil for Loftus-Cheek going to AC Milan. A lot of business done by Chelsea there.
For me, I think it's going to be excellent. You're getting a world-class player in Nkunku. I mean, Jackson, whilst he's only had a really good half season, you can see the talents there, and he's got a player. Gusto is good because you know how injury prone Ziyech, I was going to say Reece James is, and I think that would be good squad depth, and he's actually quite a good player and could even challenge Reece James to step up his game a bit more. And I mean, the prices you've getting for Havertz and Mount, who are good players, no doubt, but I don't think they're worth that fee. Kovacic is a bit sore, but 30 million, I'll take it. Koulibaly, he didn't play well, and he barely played. Mendy, he fell off, and getting 16 million for Loftus-Cheek is, I would say, quite a good transfer for both sides.
Well, for me, for Chelsea, I think it actually does go into amazing or decent based on the transfer fees they've brought in for getting rid of some of these players, specifically Havertz and Mount. The only worrying thing is they did take a big hit on Koulibaly's price. I don't think they lost too much on Mendy, and Loftus-Cheek for 16 mil was a loss, but he's been there for quite a few years now, so that's fine. The prices brought in could honestly almost get it to amazing, but then you've got to look at the arrivals. Gusto, decent, and Nkunku obviously very good, but Jackson to me looks like a sort of typical Chelsea flop. He looks like that type of signing, and based on the business in so far, I think they do need strength in other areas, so for me it probably goes into decent instead of amazing.
I'm just going to have to say no, it's going in amazing.
Amazing. I mean, you've done good getting rid of them, but you haven't really strengthened where you need to. You need strength at the back.
Well, we need a striker. Who's Nkunku and who's Jackson?
Jackson ain't going to start, and Nkunku isn't a starting striker. He's the same player as Havertz.
Nkunku
can
play up front, though.
So can Havertz, but that flopped, didn't it?
Yeah, but did he score in a Champions League final? Yes. Did we win that Champions League
final?
Him. Yes.
Anyway, I'm overruling him and saying decent, so I feel that's disrespectful to go above Arsenal. And following that up then will be Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace then, they have only brought in Lerma on a free. They have lost Jack Butland going to Rangers on a free. Zaha still hasn't found a new club. And MacArthur and Milivojevic, two experienced midfielders, have also left on a free. And for me, it's either wake up or just why. Why have they sort of let some of these players leave? And like, why are they not doing more in the transfer market currently?
I mean, you've just got to say why for me, because can't leave like a backup keeper like Butland. Good, he used to play for England. I mean, Zaha literally probably their main man. MacArthur and Milivojevic literally just experience. I mean, yes, Lerma in for free is good, but you've just got rid of so much class.
Yeah, well, I'd agree with why then. It was either wake up or why for me, so they just haven't done anything at all really, but I'll agree with why for this one. Following that up then is going to be Everton, and they have brought in absolutely no one so far. Whether they have managed to get 30 million for Moise Keane, and Nkunku, a left back they had a few years back who never really got in the team, managed to sell him for 2 mil. They've also lost Yerry Mina, Tom Davies, I think it's Tom, Andros Townsend and Connor Cody, all for free because Cody left after his loan spell. For me, this is an absolute why. I mean, they've signed no one after almost getting relegated, and they've lost decent players like Keane and Mina, and even Townsend looked all right sometimes.
I would say why if it weren't for getting 30 million for Moise Keane, because I mean that's just quite a big amount of money, and it is quite early in the transfer window, and they will likely reinvest that money into a couple of new players. So I'll probably put them in wake up.
I think that does work, but I do think it has to be why, because after almost getting relegated, they had to have done some business early, surely. And this is on what they've done so far as well.
True. Right. Just put them in why.
Following that up then is going to be Fulham, and in Mbabu, Cavallero and Congolo have all returned from loan, so they haven't actually brought anyone new in. And out they've lost Duffy, Joe Bryan, who actually basically got them promoted a few years back, Gazzaniga's left after being out on loan last season, and Solomon, after being on loan at the club and looking alright whenever he did get in the team, has gone to Spurs from Shakhtar.
I mean, I think it's just going to be wake up because they've not done too much. They've brought back
They've
some
done
loanees.
literally nothing. All the players they've lost were out on loan last season anyway.
I think that don't even realise the window's open.
Yeah. Fulham, wake up because you are sleeping right now. Following that event is going to be Liverpool, and Zobolobzoy was signed for a 70 million release clause, McAllister for 42 million, and on that note, lots of people in the comments say McAllister is 35, but this is in euros what we're doing here, so if some of the prices seem wrong to you, it's because it's in euros, not pounds. Anyway, the players leaving Liverpool were Firmino, Keita, Milner, Oxlade-Chamberlain, all on frees, while Fabio Carvalho has found a good loan move to RB Leipzig.
I mean, I think it's going to be decent. To be fair, I mean, McAllister is a good price. I think you might have overpaid for him. Not for McAllister, the other guy. I'm not saying his name, just to keep out from mispronouncing it. But Carvalho getting a good loan deal and getting Keita, Milner. Well, not Milner, but Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain off the wage list is just a big relief, I reckon, for Liverpool.
As a Liverpool fan, I'd like to argue amazing, but I think we need more of the window to build up to that.
You can't put bloody Liverpool in amazing if you've put Chelsea and Arsenal in decent.
Transfer window's nothing. We've actually signed good starting players. You've only signed Nkunku, and they've signed bloody Havertz. Anyway,
and Rice and Timber.
Yeah, but Rice was overpriced as hell. Zobolobzoy is a good player, maybe not proved that price tag quite yet in his career, but if it wasn't the 70 mil, it was going to be 80 or 90 after the release clause expired. And McAllister, very good price. Losing Firmino is a big hit. Milner was also very important to the squad. And yeah, Keita, Ox getting off a wage bill and a good loan move for Carvalho, but I'd settle for decent here. I do think after the full transfer window it could be amazing.
Well,
following that up then is going to be Luton, and they signed Ogbene from Rotherham. I honestly don't know anything about him, and an Anderson guy I also know nothing about for an undisclosed fee so far, while they've lost Lansbury and Bradley on free transfers.
I'm just going to say wake up because, I mean, they could be decent players, but I've got no idea who they are. And whilst you're in the Premier League, you need to get like loans of bigger clubs if you're a small club. well, not small club, but a smaller Premier League
For
club.
me, it goes into why, based on the situation Luton are in. They need to bring players in to be able to survive. So I'm going for why. Following that event is going to be Man City, and so far they've brought in Kovacic, and the only player they've lost is Gundogan. I mean, I would say Wake Up's haven't done a lot of business, but they don't need to do a lot of business.
I would say
so
it's just
I'd
decent.
go just decent, yeah.
Because it's just a like player.
Two good midfielders who can keep the ball well. So yeah, decent dealing by Man City so far. Following that event is Manchester rivals Man United. So far, the only player they've brought in is Mason Mount for 65 million, while they lost Zidane Iqbal, who was the supposed wonder kid a few years back, for 1 million, while De Gea, Tuanzebe and Phil Jones, who is finally freed from United, or maybe vice versa, have all left on free transfers.
I think, they need to wake up, because you shouldn't be paying 65 million for bloody Mason Mount. I mean, letting the GOAT Phil Jones go for free and a good player in De Gea go for free, and only getting 1 million for a youth player is quite poor with the hype around this player.
Yeah, I agree with Wake Up for Man United there. Following that event is Newcastle, and so far they've brought in Tonali for 64 million, a guy called Minter for 8 million, assuming a player from the Norwegian League who was a wonder kid, while they managed to get rid of Chris Wood for 17 million and lost Kieran Clark and Matty Longstaff, not Sean Longstaff, on a free transfer.
Couldn't lose the GOAT Sean Longstaff, mate.
Alright, for me, I think it's arguably amazing, because Tonali was exactly what they needed in the field. They brought in a wonder kid as well, and there's not too much more they need to do. But
yeah, you know what? I'll give them amazing. Just
honestly, with a really good left back, their transfer window could become a winner's type of transfer. Following that event is going to be Nottingham Forest, and all they've done is bring in they've brought in Chris Wood, while they've lost Jesse Lingard, Andrew Isle, and Colback on frees. What's going on there? And they also have lost Renan Lodi and Keylor Navas from their loans.
It's going to be a Y for me, because although Lingard really didn't do too much last season, he's class. I mean, IU scored a few goals last season. I mean, just give him another year. Same with Lingard. I mean, Navas, obviously, he wasn't going to stay, but it would be lovely for him to stay. And Lodi, he was one of their better players when I watched Nottingham Forest last season. And bringing Chris Wood in for any club, for any fee, is ridiculous. But 17 million, you just got scammed, buddy.
Yeah, I do agree with why. Business doesn't make too much sense to me so far. Losing Lingard was expected. He barely played and was just a massive hit on the wages, and he didn't want to stay anyway. But following that up is going to be Sheffield United, and so far they've brought in absolutely no one, while they've lost Ender Stevens, who I don't think really plays anymore, Billy Sharp as well, who barely plays anymore, but crucially they lost O'Connor, who a few years ago in the Premier League was vital for them. And for me, it's another one that goes in either Y or Wake Up, because they need to do more to stay in the Premier League next season.
You've got to go in Y, because you've got to bring someone in, and losing a veteran like Billy Sharp, just the experience he would bring to the squad is just, you've got to do something more if you're in the Premier League.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So Spurs, they so far brought in Vicario for 20 mil, a decent goalkeeper, maybe not the top level Spurs want. Kulusevski, a player Spurs fans really like, for 30 mil from Juventus. Pedro Porro, a whole 40 million just to bring him back from his loan. I'm assuming that was an obligation to buy. And they also got James Maddison, 46 million, which in my opinion is like painting your house while your back door is smashed in, because it's not really what they need, although a good player for a decent price. So for me, I'd almost argue amazing, but they did spend 40 million on Porro, so maybe decent instead.
I was going to say Wake Up, because 46 million for Maddison's too much. I mean, who's paying 40 million for Pedro Porro after his debut? Kulusevski, 30 million, not a chance. This new Serie A goalkeeper, fair play, yeah, you can get away with it. But losing Mora, he's a good bench player, and Harry Winks
and
he's
Mora
all right.
as well. I didn't even bring that up. So yeah, what you're saying, Wake
up, mate.
Do you know what? I listened to what you said, and I'll agree with that. Next team after this will be West Ham. Alright, final two teams of the video, West Ham and Wolves. So West Ham, they are yet another team who have brought in no one so far. Well, they've lost club cult hero, I guess you'd say, Manuel Lanzini, and Masuaku has left permanently for just 2 million.
I think it's going to be a Y for me, because cult hero leaving, And Masuaku for 2 million, it's disgraceful. And bringing in no one in after the season they've had, and they're gonna likely lose Declan Rice. I mean, give them big cash to spend, but I just feel that they've got to do a bit more.
Well, you're saying why? I think so far it's just wake up for me because once they get the Rice money, it's almost expected they're going to go buying some players.
Yeah,
But
I can settle
so
for
far,
wake
I'd
up.
just say wake up because they haven't done a lot, but so far they haven't really had the funding to do a lot, I guess.
Wake up and get David Moyes out.
Oh, that's
No, I actually quite like him.
Wolves they have brought in Traore, who was on loan at the club for the second half of last season for 11 mil. And the only other notable player I could think even joining the club in some way was Gills, joining back, or Giles, however you say it, joining from his loan at Middlesbrough where he was excellent. He has come back to the club and yeah, he could be decent. But crucially for Wolves, it's the players out that make their transfer business. Ruben Neves for 55 million, good price, but he was an absolute leader of the club. Nathan Collins for 27 million, Connor Cody for just 9 million. Traore, Costa and Matinho have all left on freeze, and Cunha's loan has expired and they're not re-triggering him.
I mean, I would say why, if they didn't have the circumstance they did, having to sell so many players to meet financial fair play, I'll probably just say, wake up, now you've got a bit of money to spend, bring someone in.
Yep, fair enough. I think I would agree with why in that case, bringing up the transfer issues they have financial fair play wise. And yeah, controversially, this video is no one has won yet. If you think someone should have won the transfer window, tell us in the comments down below. But also make sure to subscribe to the channel and keep notifications on so you can see when we do another version of this at the end of the transfer window and see if there is a definitive winner of the transfer window. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.